It's time to get back to the bench and get back on the Maserati Boomerang. Last update, we destroyed the Earth to make this model levitate. That involved having this box under the car to conceal the giant magnet. I didn't think that looked very attractive, so I took some paper and made a template of something that looked a bit more swoopy. Let's transfer that shape to some evergreen sheet and build a box to cover the box. I don't know if you can really see this because it's white on white, but this is basically what you do. I'm just trace that one. And then there here. So watch me use scissors. Boop. From that. Save that. That's a good piece. This is a good piece. And there's this. I have two of these. They're pretty close in shape. Close enough for government work. We'll smooth them out later. That's the start. Those will be two sides. So this is the next piece we made. This will be the front. And we just use the same 20 thousandths evergreen and some of this. Is that 60 by 188? So it'd just be anything. This is just what I picked up. And so used that on the ends. And it was just cut square, and then I just snipped it with that. Glued it with that. Pretty basic. And then we have our two pieces like that, and this will just go like that, somewhere like that. We'll get it in there nice and straight here in a second, but you kind of get the idea. Now this piece will be kind of angled, and then we can embellish it with something, because we're just building a box. Remember, we're just building a box. If you're wondering how I measure all this stuff, this is it right here. This is probably the most used tool I have next to the X-Acto knife, and maybe the tweezers. Probably I use this more than the tweezers. Get these at Harbor Freight. They're like $12. But what I do is I just kind of go, whoop. I want something about that size. I don't even look at the numbers. I'll just lock it down. Take my evergreen. Line it up. Where's my pencil? I lost my pencil. There it is. And then you just draw a line. Scoot it on down. Draw another line. Now I know where to cut. And just try to cut straight. And I've already started. And just kind of finish. Easy peasy. So I just cut a piece of this. Simply glued it to that. I'm not really worried about it. The edges of it. Like I said, I go pretty quick when I do these things, if you can. Because working with this glue, you gotta work fast. And then you just kind of that on. And this is going to be the back of the box. That's already basically set up. Always make sure you put your cap back on tight, because you don't want a disaster. And then you just kind of take your snippers. Boop. Snip. Whoop. Oh, snipping as good as I like. What's your problem? And then snip. And snip. And then you just take this guy, put a little bit of that on it, a little bit of that on it. Voila. Instant back of the box. We'll go right there. It's hard for me to see through the camera lens, but you get the idea. It goes somewhere in there. We'll get that glued in next. So here's our finished box. And it slides right on like so. These edges here will tuck up into the body and help conceal. It's kind of like that much of it goes into the body. This is a pretty good start. Something else I'm thinking is add this vinyl netting. And I might do something like this. Trim it, of course. And that kind of even conceals the tape a little bit better. And that could be like just something. I can't use metal because this is a magnet and it could mess up the magnetic field. So that's kind of interesting. And then, from these sides, so this is kind of flat and kind of not very interesting. And in one of my previous videos, we showed some of the strange stash ads that I got. One of them was a whole bunch of fender skirts. You wonder what I was gonna do with them. I might just stick one on about like that. And we can paint it, and that'll be another kind of cool thing. And speaking of other weird stash ads, this was another one that we had talked about. Little photo etch pieces. And I have 4 of these. One can go here, there, and back in here. So we're going to kind of move that part on to the paint department next. Still got a few other things to address though. Something really bothered me about some of the more interactive features I've added to this model. In a previous video, I added more than 3 feet of light up wire that wraps inside and outside of the model. It bothered me that the car lit up, but the giant rocket engines did not. It's time to do something about that. I placed an order with Evans Designs. They have LED lighting in just about every size and flavor a model builder could wish for. They also carry all the accessories to power and switch the lighting to make it as easy as possible. After measuring the engines, I decided 3mm light blue LEDs should look pretty neat inside. How the engines assemble, it's almost like they were designed for this modification. The first step was to cut out the factory assembled exhaust tips from the engine. Then I had to grind out the center of that part to let the LED shine out. Okay, so here we go. Air pull. this up. Next, I switched to this cone bit to smooth it out even more. It's not quite as abrasive as the cutting one. And I just kind of spin it, very light touch, to not melt the plastic. It's looking pretty nifty. You can still see a little bit of the turbine or whatever that is in the middle there. Moving on to this piece, you can see it still has the plastic of whatever nuclear glue that they use to bond these two together. So we're going to drill all that out next. Cutting bit. Do something. Nope. Easy there. That's exactly what I wanted it to do. Now you can see how that was actually inserted in there. And we basically kind of liquefied that piece. Approve. After cutting all of this out and doing a test of my ultra blue LED, that was certainly giving the look that I was hoping for, but it needed a little bit more. So I came up with this little piece of aluminum tubing that then fits inside here. And it will go in like so, and then it locates the outer piece. And then the super bright LED it directs the light a lot better, and that is bright, as you can see. So let's build another one and get it in the car. Now that I know the light shines out the back of the engine, I moved on to how I would conceal the wires. This was rather simple, since I already have stanchions made from tubing on the back of the car. Here are the completed parts for one of the engines. It's getting time to decide how to paint them. Speaking of paint, here's a tease for the next installment. I'm ready for this project to be completed, so I've started finishing out the interior. I'll explain how this was accomplished, and we'll likely play with some more LEDs in the next installment. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because I have all kinds of model car stories to tell. Thanks for watching.